The Detroit Lions. Ben Johnson moved on. The offense regressed. They fired the OC. And now Detroit has hired Drew Petzing as the offensive coordinator. After the hire, Ben Johnson spoke highly of him, saying it's a match made in heaven. Apparently, Johnson was at Petzing's wedding. They go way back to Boston College. This is your typical offseason story. Hey, new OC, let's get fired up, Detroit.
Actually think one of my takeaways on the second half of last year is why was Arizona's defense so bad and why was their offense with Jacoby Brissett so powerful? Some of it is they have good skill players, but I actually think, I'm not saying he's Ben Johnson. This was one of my favorite coordinator hires of the coaching cycle. I thought Mike McDaniel to the Chargers was great. I thought this was great. I think Brian Daboll to Tennessee and Cam Ward is exceptional.
Yeah.
So I think this guy's going to hit. I think he's going to be really, really good.
I mean, listen, I don't know. We said the Lions Super Bowl window had closed. I think I said that. Do you think there's a world where they get back in the mix? The NFC is completely different than we thought it was 2 seasons ago.
Well, I think Chicago now for the foreseeable future is going to be the best team because they still have 2 years not paying Caleb anything. The roster offensively is loaded. They have to spend their draft capital, the Bears do, on their defense.
Yeah.
But, you know, the window for Detroit, now you're going to have to start paying a lot of these guys. You're already paying your Goff and your Penei Sewell, I think, has a new contract. But you've got some guys here you're going to have to step up and make really hard decisions. And listen, here, a great example of the NFL. Here come the Lions, unbelievable story. Here's their window. And a year later, you're like, yeah, I think the Bears are the best team in the division. Like, that's the NFL.
Well,
Okay, you know what the NFL is, what the media is. Let's just abandon and pounce on whatever we see first in front of us. The Lions got some bodies. If they can just stay healthy on defense and elevate their defense as well, they got to elevate their defense. But if they can stay healthy and elevate their defense, their offense has some dudes. And what they need is more than anything is someone who knows how to call plays within games. Within games. That's why they were able to have success against lesser teams and against lesser defensive coordinators, because it's less of a chess match, because they got the bodies, they got the dudes. And that's why they struggled against, say, like a Spags or whatnot, because now this is way more of a chess match. Way more of a chess match. And you need the play caller to understand that on the other side of the field and know how to do that. And that's what you're banking on with Drew. That's what you're hoping that he brings to the table. That's not what the Lions had last year. That's not what they had this past year. And so as long as they can stay healthy, which, you know, I hate saying that because that you can say that about every team. But obviously the Lions have had their injury issues over these last couple of years. But as long as they can stay healthy, as long as their defense could just not be a liability and they have a play caller, he doesn't have to be a super genius. He doesn't have to be the next Ben Johnson. He doesn't have to be a mad genius, as long as he can understand the rhythm of play calling throughout the course of a game. Kind of what I feel Kel Moore brought to the Philadelphia Eagles, right? I don't think anyone's saying that Kel Moore is a super genius, but and that's what we saw with the Eagles with Kevin Poulo. He didn't understand how to call plays throughout the course of a game. It's actually a beautiful example. It's actually a perfect example. One coordinator understood how to call plays throughout the course of a game. The other one didn't. The other one understood the chess match. The other one didn't. One had a ton of success, won a Super Bowl. The other one didn't. And when the Lions finally started to get a little bit of offensive momentum last season, I was like, this is great. This is exciting. But you got to see it against a great defensive coach. A great defense against a great defensive coordinator. And again, the Lions didn't do that. They didn't do it against the Eagles, ironically, against Fangio. They didn't do it against Spags. And like that was the problem. And there was no answers from just even like a play calling perspective throughout the course of a game. This is what you're hoping Drew brings. If he does that, then there is zero reason to believe why this team won't be great. I'm not talking about within the next couple of years, and you got to pay this price. You got to pay that guy. They got to make hard DC, like they got the bodies, they got the dudes still, and they're still healthy and in their prime. They're young enough. It's not like they're like, I don't know. Is a man Ross Brown really going to be the same as he's been? Like, I'm not prepared to have that conversation yet. Maybe in a few years, sure, but like not today, not this coming season. So those are my check marks right now for the Detroit Lions. If their defense is not a liability and they're healthy enough and Drew proves to be able to call plays appropriately throughout the course of a game, he can play the chess match. I don't care about putting up 40 own points against the Arizona Cardinal. I don't care about that. I do not care about that. I do not care about that. I do not care about that. Can you play the chess match against Spags, against Fangio, against McDonald? Can you play that chess match, yes or no? If you can play that chess match, then the Detroit Lions will be #1 contenders. They will be competing for the number, they'll be competing for the division, they'll be a top team. Absolutely. Not a shadow of a doubt in my mind. If their defense was just marginally better last year, they could have probably still been in the mix a little bit. And if they could play the chess match of a game, which we saw, they had the inability to do that. The Eagles game is a perfect example of that, honestly. And I believe the Chiefs game, that's why I keep using those two games as a great, as the examples of what I observe personally. It's like you solve that. You're not like, oh, well, they'll be better. No, I think they can make the playoff. No, they will be, because they're going to roll the bad teams, right? As they typically do. They have the ability to pile on the points. Like, dare I say, if they have a game or a moment against a good team or a great team against a Spags, S-type team defense I'm talking about now, they have the ability to just pile on the points. They don't even need to do the chess match sometimes. Like, that's only their weakness, is that when it's time to do it, when it's time to have a chess match by the course of a game, that has quite frankly always been their weakness. Even with Ben Johnson and company, it's, can you play the chess match throughout the course of the game? They couldn't do it against the Packers and on Thanksgiving. Like, that's always been their Achilles heel. It's always been their Achilles heel. If they can just solve that, then they are absolutely a bona fide top team in the NFL, competing for the division, competing for a top seed. And if you're doing that, then you're competing for a Super Bowl. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions? You think the Super Bowl window has closed? Do you think it's open? How do you feel? Do you think it's a match made in heaven with their new OC hire? I'll be honest, I don't care about Ben Johnson's opinion on that. Like, that's, what is he going to say? It's a terrible hire. He's an awful co-like, and he was at his wedding or whatever. Like, none of that means anything to me. I'll be totally honest, but let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help visibility in the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.